For those new here, who are unaccustomed to a woman preacher, come nearer to me.
Christ's spirit first appeared as a man, but has reappeared to fulfill the promise of the second coming as a woman, our Mother Anne.
I have seen a chosen people waiting for us in America. We will plant a great big tree with deep and solid roots.
And that is a clip from the Testament of Anne Lee. I'm delighted to be joined by Amanda Seyfried and the director Mona Fastvold. Welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for talking to us. First of all, Amanda, I need to apologise for, like most people in this country, pronouncing your name wrong in every movie that you've ever been in.
That's okay.
Until now. So we're absolutely right now.
I don't even hear it anymore.
Okay.
It's okay. My sister says it differently, so
Why would that be?
maybe she's not my real sister.
Okay. What does she say?
Seyfried.
Okay. Now I'm
Like
gonna
an
get-
idiot. No, I'm kidding. No judgment. No, really.
Okay, but we'll still. But anyway, we've got to. Please, both of you. Maybe Mona, you start as it's your film. Introduce us to the Testament of Anne Lee, how you came across this story, and why you wanted to make this film.
So, not a lot of people know the story of Anne Lee. I discovered, when I discovered her, I thought perhaps that she was a familiar figure in American history and that people would, were taught about her in school. And perhaps you even knew about her here in England, in Manchester as well. And that just because I was Norwegian, I hadn't, this was a part of American history that I just skipped. Then it turned out that most people just really didn't know much about her at all. The only relationship people had to the Shakers were their extraordinary design, the boxes and the brooms and like the beautiful, staircases and the houses they built. So when I discovered that the Shakers were, it was a religious community in the late 1700s, led by a woman who preached equality between gender and race in a time where women had zero autonomy, and she was the leader of the religion, and she believed herself to be the female embodiment of Christ. And not only that, but she also led their worship through ecstatic song and dance. I thought, well, this is incredibly cinematic. This woman crossed the ocean, fought, or stood steady fast against prosecution over, her entire life, and then built the largest utopian society in American history with complete equality. This is a story to tell,
Yes.
especially now.
So Amanda, had you heard of Anne Lee?
I
I hadn't heard of her before this film.
Same. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very niche.
So when you sent the script, what do you think?
Well, I know Mona, and we've worked together, and we've known each other for a long time. But through working with her, like it's very clear that we have a great rapport, and really it's such an ease in the way we work together. And when she brought her own story to me, I understood the passion. So it was so. It's clearly electrified her, and the way she talked about it was like she does say like she had this urgency to tell the story, and I felt that, and so I just had this innate trust that it was going to be okay, even though it felt like a colossal challenge on everyone's parts. But I believed that she would get the greatest crew. I believed that she was going to tell the story unlike anyone else would ever have the balls to, and I wanted to be a part of that. And I knew that it was going to be transformative for me as well, because when do you ever get a chance to play this kind of person in the world?
Transformative in what way?
When you're just really terrified of something and you do it anyway. That kind of proving to yourself your capacity can make you walk through the world a little differently.
Why was it terrifying?
It was a foreign, everything was foreign about it. It was a foreign accent, very foreign to me, the dancing, very foreign. I didn't understand it. I needed to embody it like it was based on my survival, and so it needed to be a second, like a part of, like it needed to feel like I was born with these movements. I needed to sing in a completely different way, and I needed to lead, and I needed to have this. I needed to believe in myself in a way that I thought maybe I didn't, but that I realized I did. But I just learned a lot through the process. The process was about a year total, and I knew that it was a challenge, and I needed, at the age that I was, and I knew that it was going to take a lot of sacrifice because I did have 2 kids at the time and a family that I needed to kind of leave for a little while. And I just didn't want to let Mona down either, and I didn't want to let the legacy of Ann Lee down. And I wanted to, and I knew that this was people's way in, most people's way into Ann Lee was going to be this vehicle, and I needed to portray her in a way that really honored what she did in her life and what she created. It's an undertaking is the undertaking of my life. Like, I don't see this. I don't have that much faith right now that I'm going to have this kind of challenge for a while. So we'll see.
The actors speaking in different accents is actually obviously part of what you do in every different film. But seeing you speak in a Manchester accent was something else. I thought you nailed it. Was it difficult?
Thank you. Yeah, it was the hardest part of the job.
The hardest part of never mind the dancing and the
never
ecstatic
mind
utterances,
yeah.
none of that. It's
No
speaking
matter
that.
how much I spoke in that accent, it never felt like a part. It was a part of me. So I was always fighting with myself, especially the first half of the movie, and I kept getting through it. I kept, I had a lot of second guessing, but it's funny that is where the challenge lies for me, is in those kinds of accents. Like, give me an Irish accent, I would have fared a little better.
Okay. Well, I thought you fared 100% correct.
Thanks.
I thought it was.
Well, all thanks to Maxine Peake then.
Okay, yes, very strong. Mona, was it always going to be? I mean, is it? I was going to call it a musical. It's sort
It is
of
a musical.
Okay, it is.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
would say
okay.
it is.
That's okay. Yeah,
It's okay. Or you
Okay.
can call, or maybe
She didn't want to call it a musical for so
No.
long, and Brady was like, "Babe, it's a musical."
It's a fucking musical. But yeah, no,
This
it's
is Brady
it's,
Corbet, who's your
yeah.
other half, who you wrote it together.
We wrote it together, yeah. No, I mean I almost see it more as an opera now, in a way. It's one piece of music, the entire film, really. There's, even if it's an improvisational singer's breath work that's coming slowly, peeking through, and some chimes through a dialogue scene, or there's, it started out with this idea of minimalism, only the voice, only physical movement, percussion, and then Daniel Blumberg and I it grew and became richer and richer as we worked on it, and we started bringing in instruments, and sort of with the idea of the music being sort of almost a connection to the divine for them. So it's kind of just really grew, but it grew out of sort of voice work and the movement work. But it had to be a musical. They worshipped through ecstatic song and dance, so they would break into song and dance.
Can I ask you about that? Because ecstatic song and dance is not something that most people engage in their normal life. Can you explain?
They do at the club.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
what is it that they describe? What it is when we go to a Shaker meeting? What is it that we see when they start their singing and they start their uttering and their moving? What is it that we're looking at?
So in the beginning, in Manchester, in the early days of Shakerism, they would do meetings, like sort of prayer circles. One person would stand and confess their deepest, darkest sins. They would then be comforted and forgiven, and it would often lead to shaking and trashing, throwing themselves to the ground. Then that on would develop into a communal, sort of improvised dance party that would last sometimes for days. And they would scream and sing and dance.
It's like
and
they were
move.
high or possessed.
Yes,
or...
Possessed for sure.
but it's not possession in the sort of, it's like how it's not the way that I interpreted it based on what I read and the research I did was that it was quite joyful. So it's I didn't want it to have this sort of speaking in tongues in this sort of possession-like way, but more of this. We were more inspired by improvisational movers and improvisational singers. Improvisational singers, for example, like Maggie Nichols, who comes and does this incredible solo in the film, early on in the film. There's a journey, and there's a specific sort of a performance journey in that. So I gave her very specific directions as to what her journey was, that you're taking this person's pain and his sin and his suffering, you're pulling it into your body and you're helping him letting go of it, and you're kind of releasing it together. So it's not just, oh, here I'm going to go and make some crazy sounds, or I'm going to go and make some crazy movements. And the same for the improvisational movement. It was all about, what is that journey? What is the meaning and intent behind everything you do?